Hello parents, this is Valerie Munoz and I made this presentation here for you to kind of give you some suggestions and some ideas of how to help your child be successful in online learning. Some of this came out of conversations that Mrs. Olson and I have had together, and then some of it has also come out of just looking at the data for our students, looking at who's getting APs, who's getting A's, B's, C's, F's, no credits for our classes, that kind of thing, and really thinking about how we can support those students. And we know by supporting you, we are also supporting your child. So that's kind of the thought process behind this. So let's move ahead. So to start out with, we've noticed that most kindergarten through second grade students have very active parental involvement. Those parents are providing significant support with work completion and focus, and those students are very successful. So I get a lot of messages from those parents. Those parents are very on top of what their child needs to be doing, and they are oftentimes sitting right there with their child working. So they're very successful. Some 3rd through 5th students also have very active parental involvement, and those students are also very successful. There's definitely a shift that happens somewhere around 3rd through 5th grade where parents back off to a certain degree, but some students, their parents have been able to find the right balance of teaching their children independence while also giving them the support that they need. The thing that is really driving Mrs. Olson and I to develop something like this to provide some more information for our parents about how to help their child be successful in online learning was the fact that the majority of our elementary students that end up having APs are on academic probation each month, or they end up with final grades of no credit or Fs are 3rd through 5th grade students. For the most part, our kindergarten through 2nd grade students are AM or AE, and they are passing our classes without a problem. But a good portion of our 3rd through 5th grade students are struggling, and so we're hoping that providing these skills to you as parents, that these will also transfer over to your students by you giving them the support that they need. So some very basic things that Mrs. Olson and I were able to agree on, both in our experience teaching in the classroom, but also having worked online now. She's worked online for 20 years, and this is my first year, but we've both kind of agreed that these are the things that kids need. They need help staying focused, and they also need help developing organizational skills. Kindergarten through 5th grade students aren't ready to learn completely independently. They aren't ready for me as a teacher to hand them a learning plan contract, the materials that they need, and then for them to just go. They need more support than that. So that kind of got me thinking about how myself as an adult or how other adults stay focused or stay organized. So if we go to the ideal of how an adult can stay focused or organized and then work our way back to what a student might need. So I know myself as an adult, I take breaks. I change the tasks that I do if I notice that the quality of my work is starting to suffer. I use lists. I take notes. I have Post-it notes just about everywhere, and I've got a couple journals where I take notes. I reward myself if I complete a big project. I reward myself with a small break, or I maybe get a special snack. I drink coffee or tea or some other drink. I am almost always drinking water, that kind of thing, just to keep myself focused and organized and moving forward. Well, your child needs these kinds of things too, but they're not ready to do it for themselves. They don't have the self-control to manage all of these tasks by themselves. And so we have to start developing systems to help them get there. And definitely in 3rd through 5th grade, we start moving them towards being more independent, but they're not ready to be completely independent. All right, so when I was thinking about what is active parental involvement, well, to start out with, it's providing a learning space that's free of distractions. So the TV is off. We're limiting distracting conversations like phone calls, that kind of thing. That's not happening in the learning space around your child. It might happen in the other room, might happen down the hall, but right where your child is learning, it's probably not the best place to be taking a phone call. we suggest that you print off all of the LPCs, and then you check once a week to see if there are any changes. Having the LPCs printed off means that you can use them as a checklist of getting things done, which does create some motivation within your child to go, ooh, I get to check it off. And you don't get to check it off until it's completed. Create a routine or a schedule, and make a plan for each day, the part of the day or the hour based off your child's ability to focus. We know that we have several students with ADHD, and breaking things down to smaller amounts of time is definitely going to be something that helps kids with ADHD or just in general attention or focus issues just be more successful. So give them a list of 3 things that they need to get done in the next half an hour instead of making a plan for the whole day, because that might be too much for them to handle. Giving breaks at least every hour, and more often is even better. Absolutely for all kids, but even more so for kids with ADHD or focus issues, moving around and taking breaks often is going to help. And making a plan for, okay, the break is this long, now we come back to work. And having that understanding between you and your child that we take breaks, but the breaks don't take over our learning time. Check in at least twice a day to see what you've gotten done and what still needs to be done. So giving lots and lots of reminders and reading directions to them if that is necessary. I am absolutely all about, especially in my math and science classes, all about parents reading directions to kids if that's necessary. My classes aren't language arts classes. They don't need to read per se to complete the work. Should they be able to read on grade level? Yes. But per se, they don't need to read or write to complete my work. They need to be able to do the math and the science. So reading directions to them is absolutely appropriate. It's really great for audio learners, and then even pushing them eventually to read the directions out loud for themselves if that's what they need. Other suggestions that I have are to check their grades, their scores in Odyssey, and their assignment lists and STEM scopes at least once a week. Make sure that they're moving forward. They're not ready to have the self-control or the urgency to keep moving forward by themselves. They may not have that intrinsic motivation already because of their age. They're not intrinsically motivated. They don't see the long term, and so we have to see the long term for them. Also have them attend conferences. That's one more way where I can remind them to do some of these things for themselves and support you in so that you're not the only one saying these things. Let me be the bad guy sometimes and say some of the things that need to be said or repeated that you're already saying. All right, last thing that we want to list here for all parents is to please support, but don't do the work for your child. It really can be hard for Mrs. Olson and I to provide the supports that a child might need if we see that they're always doing really well on assessments, but then we hear later on that they're struggling. Well, the two don't match. If they're struggling, then we need to see it, but that doesn't mean that they should be working without any support. So what I would like to say is that you should practice with your child, but when it comes to taking the quizzes, they should be the ones providing the answers completely. So you can certainly type answers for them if that would be helpful. But what is being presented to me in an assessment, like a quiz or a test, needs to be completely their own work, if that makes sense. Now, working parents. We know that we have some parents that they work throughout the day, and so their child is either working in the evenings when they get home, or their child is working during the day while they're at work. So that happens sometimes, and you know what? That's part of life. But what we do suggest also is that you look over the week's work on Sunday or Monday and make a plan with them. Have your child be involved in making that plan, and then have a midweek meeting to see if your child's on pace for the plan that you made. And then please remember also that most assignments are due on Friday, so then if the child doesn't get those assignments in by then, you can use the weekend to catch up. And that eventually will start building a normal reward system that you get the work done during the week, you get the weekend off. But if you don't get it done during the week, then you don't get the weekend off. Is a really simple reward system. Some for your informations, with this new science curriculum that we are implementing, there are some science materials that may need to be gathered up and prepared for by you, the adult. Some of this is for safety reasons, and then some of this is because for the flow of the learning, for the flow of the experiment or the activity, the child needs to not be preparing the materials themselves, because it takes away from the learning, takes away from the surprise and the discovery of science. So please be reading the instructions and knowing that there might be some things that you need to prepare. And also know that some of these science activities are better done in groups. So make it a fun family night and do it all together as a group. Last thing that we want to say is please communicate with us. If you notice that something is wrong or a struggle your child has, please let us know as soon as possible. Please let us know if your child is repeating a lesson in Odyssey. We want to know that so that we can reteach them. That's what we're getting paid for as teachers. That's why we have jobs. We want to partner with you for your child's success. So communication is key for that. We really look forward to seeing if these strategies help you as parents. So feedback here would be really appreciated. Let us know if you have any questions, and we hope you have a great day. Bye now.